Oh, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Sunday afternoon, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with stress. And I just wanted to make sure that you all know that we all have stress all of the time. And those of us who are what we call emotionally intelligent understand that and don't try to deny it. And we know that sometimes these things happen. We get stressed and we have negative emotions that go on and all sorts of things. So I welcome all of you who are prepared to talk about it and to grow with it. And just a very, very warm welcome to you all. It's been an interesting week in a lot of ways. And before I start, I just wanted to say that I heard that Senator Bob Dole passed, and I just wanted to, to take a second to say that um, what a great statesman, what a great human being, what an incredibly bipartisan human being, and also a man who never took himself too seriously. He was always ready to joke about himself or whatever, and always just always made people laugh. And I think whenever you see clips of him, as they're doing all the memories of him, a lot of them are with everybody around him laughing. And the reason was he had this incredible wit. So to all of his family and friends, um, it is with great sadness that we hear of his passing. But I am very grateful to have known part of him just through the media, in my life, because I always, I always respected him. Let's put it that way. The reason I wanted to talk a little bit about the um, stress of feeling lonely at this time of the year. That's what I want to talk about today, because I believe it is something that happens to a lot of people. So it may not be happening to you, but it might be happening to your friends. And I wanted to talk about that so that we could get it out in the open and also discuss what to do about it. And to me, that is really important. Please remember to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. If you're watching in the background, maybe. The reason is that we keep you updated on people's progress during the week with that. And I wanted to say that we're going to be talking about a difficult subject. And if any of you are easily triggered, you get upset very easily, the subject of loneliness may cause you some more stress. So think about whether you want to be listening to this at this time, or maybe visit it later. Know that I am not a psychologist, psychiatrist, or whatever. And the views you're going to hear are really mostly my own, or that I've done some research on. So just, be aware of this. Talking about difficult subjects can either be very depressing, or it can actually be very motivating, depending on how you deal with it. And by the way, just so that you know, we did have our first dusting of snow this week, and we've got more coming, which is enough to depress me. Um, but on the viewer update, I just wanted to say that first thing on my viewer updates was, of course, with Erin. She successfully went through her operation for kidney stones, and the last we heard is she's recovering well. Jeannie's just saying that her stress has had to do with York's eye surgery and trying to give him eye drops. He had LASIK surgery. And she said, I'm no nurse. I just don't have enough patience, but I keep trying. Yes, remember that the sooner you get those drops in on a regular basis, the sooner you won't have to have those drops in on a regular basis. That's the way I would look at it. And also remember, if you can, Jeannie, he is a man. um, and I say that, and I'm certain a lot of you know what I'm saying, right? They deal with things in a different way. So, but thank you for giving us the update. I appreciated that. So, oh gosh, man, yeah. Oh, Lordy. All right, I'm just trying to catch up. I don't think we had not Jeannie's, we had Pat's birthday this week. I'm not aware of any coming up in the very near future. If there are any, please let me know. And for those of you who have been following my progress, I am going for my booster shot this week, so I'm quite happy about that. And before we get off the subject of thoughts, prayers, and things like that, big thanks to Lynn, who does the little thumbnails, that I put up, the little pictures I put up to let you know that broadcasts are coming. So thank you, Lynn. All right, so let me see here. Jeannie's saying, yeah, she had to clear the windshield this morning before going off to church. Yeah. All right, and I'm sure all my viewers have got great tips on how to keep the windshield clean. Do any of you put socks on your windshield wipers so that they don't stick to your windshield overnight? I often think that's a really brilliant idea. When you get out of your car, put socks on your windshield wipers, and then the next morning, you know that you're not going to have your windshield wipers stuck to your windshield. And also I would think save a lot of having to change your windshield wipers as well. All right, now then, just again, I want to give another warning for anybody who might be a little bit sensitive to this subject. Loneliness is a subject most people probably don't want to talk about. And have any of you ever felt it? That would be my first question. And the reason I'm saying that is because it's quite a normal occurrence for all of us, all right? When I say quite normal, like any other feeling, it's quite normal to have it. And so I know that at least one of my viewers had a bout of sadness this week. And I saw a lovely quote. I wonder if I could find it again. Yeah, I saw a lovely quote, and it said something like this. It said, it's okay to cry. Even the clouds do that when they get overloaded. And I thought, what a wonderful way to look at sadness, all right? Or, when you think about it, what really is loneliness? And I saw a quote that said, lonely is not about being alone. It's the feeling that no one cares. Have any of you ever had that feeling? All right, you might not feel alone, but you have that feeling that nobody cares. And so that's exactly what we're going to be discussing. And if you've ever felt it, I think you would agree it's not a nice feeling. And the reason that I wanted to discuss it with you, because it happened to me this week. Now, here's somebody who spends their life helping people not feel things like this. And guess what? It happened to me. And, I found it interesting because it happened when Benji came to visit. Now, can any of you understand why that might have been possible? All right. And I want you to think about that, because sometimes happy emotions bring up other emotions as well. So I am used to that to some degree. And I know at one point, and I even started to cry. And I know Benji said, I'm so sorry you're depressed. I said, no, I'm not depressed. That's different. So I wanted to talk about that because, you don't have to be depressed to feel lonely. You just, if you look at it, I always, whenever I'm trying to understand a negative feeling like that, I always think, what is the opposite? What is the antonym? What is the opposite of that feeling? So what would you say is the opposite of loneliness? What would it be for you? And different people have different ideas about this, but for me, the opposite of loneliness is connected, that I feel connected to people. Yeah, Jeannie's saying, I feel blessed that I know people care. Getting back to our home entail people helping us through and understanding their role. That's great. Jody's saying perhaps the reality hit, that it's really been just about 2 years and you hadn't seen him. And that was never your norm. Exactly, Jody. That was one of the things I realized. It had been 2 years since I'd seen him. Plus, you know that they're pregnant again. And I realized here they are already with another one, and I haven't even met Leah yet. And you know, there were a lot of those sort of things. And suddenly, and there's a part of my brain that is busy processing it all and saying, oh, well, you know, you could get in your car and go down there. But then I still have fear about that, as you know. You know, it's just like I realize that brings up fear in me because I feel vulnerable. And so there are lots of emotions that went around it. But I thought the interesting thing was that Benji said, I'm sorry you're depressed. And I immediately said, no, Benji, I'm not depressed. I just feel lonely. And I want to make sure that you guys understand that there is a difference between that. Now, to be fair, hi, Kimmy, to be fair, if loneliness goes unchecked, it can lead to depression. All right? Yeah, Jeannie's saying that she's never met her 5-year-old grandson, but adores him and questions, will I ever see him in person? Yes, and I'm certain there are times when you feel that at a very heart level. So thank you for mentioning that, Jeannie, right? So I look at it and go, I think part of the reason I felt it was because I really felt Benji's love firsthand again. You know, all he was doing to help me, and he couldn't do enough to help me. And I think that was part of what brought it out in me. And can you understand that it's not altogether a bad thing? I saw it as actually a good thing for me, because to me, when we get feelings like that, it's a wake-up call. All right, unless I want to be a victim, and I don't want to be a victim, but it's a wake-up call going, yes, at some level, you need more connectiveness. And it was so interesting that one of the things that Benji said is, why don't you get a dog? And it was funny because I'll talk about that in a second. Hang on a second. Jody's saying, the opposite of loneliness for me is feeling content when I am alone in my own company, while looking forward to spending time with Lionel and friends. The win for me is not being terrified of, yeah. Now, funny enough, to me, when I'm working on my own and doing stuff, I never feel lonely. All right? I agree. I'm content when I am alone, but doing stuff. And that was another trigger, you know, an important point for me. When I'm doing stuff, I don't feel lonely. And I believe that a lot of what happened to me, that emotion came up because I felt all of Benji's love. And so, you know, it was interesting. And so what I want to talk about is more about it and why it's important that we acknowledge it. The same as any sadness. You know, the biggest battle is to acknowledge that it's there. Because if you know it's there, you can do something about it. All right. Hi, Charlotte. Good to see you. All right. So let's go have a look at this then. How about this one? I saw a quote that said, these pains that you feel are messengers. Listen to them. So whenever you get negative emotion, don't see it as a downer. Go, this is the universe sending you a wake-up call. All right? And it's okay. Jody said, I felt a bit of your emotion. I definitely felt the gravity of that visit from Benji. And I wanted to give you a hug. Don't make me cry. All right, I must not make myself cry by hearing those nice things. Yeah, it was a big deal to me, I must admit. So why do we feel lonely? Yeah, Charlotte's saying she agrees. Emotions are signs, and we should listen to them. All right. Don't ever ignore your emotions, whatever they are, negative or positive. So, why do we feel lonely? It's said that loneliness is a mechanism that's in place because we need, as a social species, to feel, to be able to identify when our connection with others, we need to feel that connection, all right, that with others, for our mutual aid, right, and protection. And if we don't have it, then it can cause great stress because we could feel threatened physically or mentally. If I feel I'm alone, I might not feel as safe. All right. And so therefore there could be mortal consequences. I am more vulnerable if I am lonely. And they threat our survival. All right. And Charlotte's saying lonely is our deepest stuff, coming out to the fore. Yes, but don't ignore it. And I, quite honestly, I didn't see it as negative at all. I saw it as, wow. There's part of me that you guys know me pretty well. There's part of me that says that was the first time I cried since the fire. I didn't cry at the fire. And I think the reason was because I felt safe because Benji was there. How about that? Does that make any sense to anybody? Yes, and Charlotte is adding to that. Lonely is deep stuff, connection with those who can understand. Then we get reassurance, all right? So this is like, I think I realized in that moment as well how much I had missed him. Not that I don't talk to him or see him. I would say that I had missed giving him a hug or having him sit across the other side of the counter here and to hear his views on things. And it's, we can, I don't know about the rest of you, but as social media has changed the way we connect with people. How many of you know that you don't pick up the phone as much as you used to? You just send a text. And therefore, we don't hear the other person as much, all right? Yeah. Jeannie's just saying that she read that somebody that she knew who was 98 passed this week. And, she had been so kind to her during the early part of her marriage. And they felt such sadness. Absolutely. All right. And so what I want you to think about is, has social media changed the way you keep in touch with people? And is it working for you? And Charlotte's saying, I actually use voice chat or video. Yeah. And, I want to thank all of you because my ability to be able to talk to all of you 3 times a week, obviously, is a connection. And that's a very important one. And don't get me wrong on that one. Right? But I realized that I had a void in my life uh, because I also noticed, and I wonder if you found that as well, that because of the pandemic sort of being in a different place now, people around me in my community here are busy doing other things, and I don't see them as much. So that is, also changed for me. It is the general accepted opinion that loneliness results in the decline of well-being and has an adverse effect on physical health. So be aware of, like any emotion, be aware of what's going on. And I totally agree that, I look at whenever I don't see emotions as good or bad. I just see them as, okay, I'm getting a wake-up call here. Wow. And thank you, Charlotte. Charlotte's saying, your chats and connection has helped me through so many obstacles from all the way from the start until now. And I want us all to understand that we, by meeting up 3 times a week, have been a great help to lonely people. And I think it's really important that we realize that we may never see them. We may never even know that they're in the background. Look at it, what was it, on Friday, when a viewer that I think we've heard of before, but we haven't seen the name pop up very often, came up to tell me something. And I thought, gosh, isn't that interesting? They're protecting me, and I'm not even sure we see them very often. But they were there protecting me, and I thought that was wonderful. Yeah, and Charlotte's saying that when she was in hospital, that's where she started to be part of a core group, and it is important. And Jeannie's saying to me that you and the DearMamaSal family have helped me through fire. Well, Jeannie, and you have taught me so much from your fire as to what to expect, because you were always a little ahead of me, in as much as your fire happened before mine. So I was, I don't know if you realize that, I was listening very carefully to the things you were saying, because I'm going, heads up, this is going to happen to you if you make notes in your head, to do something about that. So be aware, when people feel lonely, the question is, do they crave social interaction the same way as hungry people crave food? What do you think? All right. And it's about social interaction. And understand that you might be feeling fine today, but what about your friends? How many of your friends have got a mask on at the moment, pretending they're fine and they're not? And so part of what I'm going to ask you to do is to think about being in touch with them, not for your benefit as much as for theirs. And Kimmy's saying, all of you have helped me so much. Thank you. Kimmy, it's the whole reason we're here. And I assure you that we thank you too, because Kimmy, your blunt honesty on certain subjects have been of great help. All right. You help ground us time and time again. And the same, it is really important. Jeannie's generosity, blows me away every now and then. Jody's as well. You know what I mean? It's just like we all add bits to the puzzle. And Jeannie's saying sometimes a friend will call up and just to talk to somebody. Yes. And I believe that if most of your interaction is by text or written emails or whatever, think about maybe I'm going to do a little bit more telephoning. And Charlotte's saying, I randomly call my brother on voice chat to see how he is. Yeah. And, one of the things I want to talk about is what we can do. But let me continue to carry on with this. It says, is loneliness a feeling? All right, think about that. Is loneliness a feeling? And if it is, then do we agree that we can do something about it? Because feelings are on us, right? Feelings are on us. We can control feelings. And so I look at it and go, hang on a second. You're all going to laugh at me for a second. Hang on. I'm looking at my laptop and it's got dust on it. And for some reason, there is no way I can let that go. Okay, fine. Jody is saying, we are a beautiful, eclectic, multifaceted family, like flowers in a bouquet. We complement each other while being our individual selves. Wow, that's very poetic. Where did that come from? All right. And Charlotte's saying, chat is sometimes lost in translation. Yep. And Jeannie's saying, yes, loneliness is a feeling. So do we all agree, being emotionally intelligent people, that if it's a feeling, it's up to me? Hi, Alex. Good to see you. Alex is saying, I think loneliness stems from the caveman times and not feeling accepted. I wasn't around then, Alex. But yes, I understand what you're saying. But the the loneliness I felt was not about not being accepted. The loneliness I felt was about a lack of connection. But big hugs, and thank you for adding that. Jody is saying, I'm all up in my emotions today. Well, Jody, I'm sure we'll touch a bit more, which is why I gave the warning at the beginning that this could bring up different emotions. If you're already feeling emotional, anytime we talk about a difficult subject, then it could trigger some more. So that's why I said that right at the beginning. So deep breath. You can do this, Jody. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin, and through thick and thin, does a great job of looking after us. Charlotte's saying it's a feeling that only you can express and then adapt to the response. Yes. Alex is saying, may I ask what time it is there, as you seem to have an English accent? Well, it's something I'm never going to get rid of. I'm actually sitting in Canada. I've lived here for the last 30-something years, Alex. And the time here at the moment is 3:58 p.m. And where are you, Alex? And welcome. We have a new friend. And again, what brought you here? Yeah, some people may think that CA is California. So, right, I'm in Canada. But thank you, Jody. So let's discuss, if we may, knowing that we can get lonely and so can our friends. And, sometimes the lessons we learn will help us help somebody else this week, all right? Let's discuss some of the things that might cause us to feel lonely or isolated. I want to add in Alex's point about isolation, because that's really important as well. It's part of it for some people. Now, can you understand that in my case, part of my feeling probably goes back to when I moved from living with Yvonne for 20 years and came to live here. And then, being isolated even more because of the fire, and then also dealing with the pandemic. And then I came back here, but I had all the busyness of dealing with the fire insurance stuff. And then things started to settle down. Can any of you understand that there may have been something in the settling down, to bring Charlotte's point up again, that allowed other emotions to come up? That I was out of the immediate stress, touch wood, of the fire and insurance and stuff like that, which allowed other emotions to come to the fore. Can any of you see that's a possibility? Charlotte's saying sickness is one huge lonely factor. Unworthiness, lack of coping skills. Yes, and don't ever feel that it is something you need to run away from. It isn't. It's something you can face head on. Jody's saying, I've been in survivor mode for so long. You're right. All right. And so now sitting there with Benji, who I adore, as you know, and him genuinely, doing so much for me, there was something about the collaborative bit of it. Where he and I were going, well, here's what we need to do, but we haven't got this. What are we going to do? Or I could see that he was going to need something and I ran to go and get it before he asked me for it. That all played into it somehow. And I haven't had that. All right. I haven't had that around me for nearly 2 years. And I think in that moment, I realized how much I had missed it. But it's enough about me, and I will continue to talk about me. But I want you to understand that we all get to feel it. It doesn't matter how smart you are or how stupid you are. It's not about that. It is about we all have that feeling every now and then. Charlotte's saying feelings make us whole. Feelings are part of your story. And so, I look at it, and it's very important for us to acknowledge our feelings and give them space. Jody was saying that she had a sadness bout yesterday. There's nothing wrong with that. And we're about to hit the next, um, the winter solstice, right? On the 21st. And yeah, I love do you know that the winter solstice is my favorite one? Do you know why? Because once we hit December the 21st, that's the winter solstice, then we're on our way to spring. I don't do winter well. Right? It's never one of those things I do well. And can you understand that part of all of this with me is I'm feeling lonely going into winter. This is not a good thing for me. Right? This is not a good thing for me. To feel, it's like if I don't take some action now, imagine where this could lead to if I'm not careful. So that is why I wanted to bring it up. Charlotte's saying feelings make us whole. They are part of a story. Be genuine and feel your way makes you unique. By the way, do any of you think I am less than at some level? That I have this emotion? Or any of you going, well, Sal shouldn't feel lonely? Or do you understand it's quite normal? I don't think I am less than because I had it. Right. And for Jeannie's saying, for those people with faith, she's saying that when I think of the Blessed Mother Mary, I feel less lonely. Yes. And so for some of you, and we'll talk about that, what does it take for you to get out of it? Yeah. And Charlotte's saying, it's not that I'm a wuss. Charlotte's saying, no, it makes you yourself. And Jeannie is acknowledging we all feel this at times. And it's okay to feel it. Jody, it's okay to feel sad every now and then, especially what you've been going through. And Alex is saying, do you think loneliness can be good for us sometimes? To give us a time to sit back and take in everything that's going on around us. Oh, I love it. Alex, can you see that it's a possibility that feeling lonely could be a good thing? If you can see that, welcome to our world. Yes, after Benji had gone, I sat down, and now there was part of me, I'm sure you understand, that was sad that I had so little time with Benji, and I spent part of it crying. How many of you can understand that one? But after he had gone, I replayed. I'm certain some of you did this as well. I replayed just about everything we did together, everything we talked about. And one of the things I kept replaying was that, Benji, loneliness is not depression. It's a different thing. I understand, though, that if it's untreated, it could lead to depression, right? Especially for older people like myself, or even older than me. All right, so let me just catch up with people talking. Jody's saying, I'd be worried if you never felt the range of emotions that you've always shared. They are, oh, that's so kind, that they're always so real and relatable. Yeah, that's why I talk about them. I want you all to know emotions are, nothing wrong with them. And Charlotte, who, has been through her whole learning in the time that I've known Charlotte, she's gone from being pretty, I would say you were in pretty good clinical depression. Am I correct on that, Charlotte, when I first met you? And she's fought her way back in so many different ways. It's wonderful. She said emotions are a continuous journey that evolves with each situation or opportunity. Yes, I see them. I don't know about the rest of you. I see them as little hurdles, and after I've jumped them, I keep going, and you're giving me another hurdle now? I've just got over the last one. I have those conversations. And Charlotte says, keep moving forward, no matter how big or small, acknowledge it all. Right. Yeah. And Charlotte, one of the things, Charlotte, the reason you stick in my mind so much is I know how far you've come. Interesting. Alex is saying a bad thing about loneliness is it can lead to overthinking situations sometimes. Excellent. So is that what you find you do when you get lonely, Alex? I'm going to carry on with some notes. Anybody else? What happens to you when you feel lonely? And I'm going to carry on with the notes that I've got here, but keep talking to me because this is wonderful interaction, guys. I'm glad I was brave enough to talk about it, quite honestly, because I can see that a lot of you relate to this. And I didn't even put this up that I was going to talk about it, all right? It said, can you understand that for some of our friends, the pandemic has caused loneliness that they hadn't felt before? And if I remember that if it's a feeling, I can do something about it, and I better do something about it, all right? Because if I don't, then it will lead to a depression of some sort. And I don't want to be doing that coming into winter. And also, as we have said, if you are getting lonely, not doing something about it, it will just compound. You will feel more lonely. You'll have more excuses why not to do the things you need to do to get out of it. So loneliness is something that can affect us all. And I would say we all need to constantly keep our little red flags up and going, Charlotte, I am pretty certain you've learned enough about depression that you now know the red flags when they come up. Charlotte's saying she has rolling thoughts like a headache, but I can control the self-talk. Yes, I've learned that as soon as I go, well, actually, when I realized, quite honestly, until Benji was talking to me, I didn't even realize I was feeling lonely. But as soon as I admitted that, the tears came out. Very impressive. But it was real. And then I remember, Benji looking at me and saying, well, you know what you need to do about it. And I said, I am not getting remarried. I don't know where that came from. And he said, no, I meant get a dog. I said, okay, fine. However, can you understand that for me, getting a dog now would be more responsibility, and I'm not sure I want that at the moment. And that's another subject. Yes, Kimmy's saying my daughter and I were talking about how the pandemic has affected everybody. I think it's affected us in ways that we need to be aware of, and loneliness is one of them. So if we know what the opposite of loneliness is for us, now for me, the opposite of loneliness is connectedness. So I know, once I know that, and that's why I always like to look at the opposite. If I know that being connected to people, overcomes loneliness for me, then I also know what I need to do. So is it possible to be lonely while you live with somebody else? How about that question? And while you're typing that, Charlotte's saying, oh my Lord, I feel a gut reaction. I feel flush, a bodily response. I remind myself to keep moving and keep the positive self-talk. I want to say that the positive self-talk is a big one, all right? It's rewriting that old tape that starts to run, Charlotte. Do you find that? The old tapes start to run, and you now know how to stop the old tapes. I must admit, as soon as I thought, gosh, I am lonely, the next thing that came into my head was, what are you going to do about it? Because, I don't want to be a victim anymore and end up in depression. I know loneliness is a feeling, therefore I can do something about it. And it was quite funny because to me, it was no problem about that. I just know that was a red flag, and I thank my subconscious for letting me know. Yeah. Excuse me, people. Kimmy is saying that one of the things that she does when she's lonely is staying away from people and staying home, not living life. And Jody's saying it's 100% possible to feel lonely when not alone. Good. It's happened in a controlling relationship that I was in before I met Lionel. Absolutely. Yes, Kimmy, what a good point. If anybody is OCD, you will find that that's a great thing to mention, Kimmy. Thank you. If you've got obsessive compulsive disorder, where you repeat actions, everything has to be done in a certain way, it could get worse when you're lonely. And by the way, Kimmy, I want to ask a question of this. Do you think, I should ask this of Yvonne because she's OCD, in recovery from OCD. And one of the things I wanted to ask was, if you suffer from OCD, do you get more testy? Are you less tolerant when you are lonely? That anybody not doing exactly what you want them to do, that triggers you? That's the question. Jeannie's saying, yes, you can feel lonely, though married or living with another. York's illness scared me, made me feel alone for a while. Yes. Now, you see, what happens, though, if I understand this correctly, Jeannie, that loneliness has to do with our security. All right, think about this, people. All right, so we go back to Alex's point about the caveman. Feeling lonely means I am not protected. I don't feel protected. Does that make sense, Jeannie? So the fact that he got ill, York got ill, was you did not feel that you had as much protection, all right? And that you might lose his protection. Think about that. Charlotte's saying, yes, I live in a house with 3 rooms and I feel lonely because I'm in my room and I live in a multi-room dwelling with others who barely interact with one another. Yeah, or with others even. Okay, good. So we all understand it's possible to be lonely while not alone. Good. So let's do some group problem solving here. Let's think about the things we can do to overcome that feeling of loneliness. Remember that we're talking about this will be good for our mental health. And I'd also like to talk about what you can do for your friends if they are feeling lonely. All right. So we might talk in the first person, but remember the reason we're discussing it is you could realize a friend of yours is lonely. Hi, Kez. Always good to see you. So let's think about that. Jeannie's saying, if you cannot control a situation and you need to, things can get worse. I have to step back and breathe. All right, so let us carry on with this. And let's see where we're at here. I'm so sorry. I'm going to do what I can to carry on. So, first step. Do we all agree the first step is to acknowledge it? No matter whether it's sadness or loneliness or anger or whatever, any negative emotion, the first step is to acknowledge you've got it and don't beat up on yourself. All right? And also, not a bad idea to discuss it. And part of discussing it will help you, you sometimes think it's one thing, but when you talk to somebody about it, you realize it's something completely different. Or in the case of Benji thinking that I was depressed, and I said, no, actually, I'm not depressed. I don't feel depressed at all. I just feel lonely. And there was a difference in that for me. The next thing I would say is whether it's for you or a friend, if it's for you, make a plan. Think about what you're going to do to not be more lonely. All right. Now then, any ideas? And if you have a friend that you realize that, is beginning to run out of steam because of the pandemic, or they may be like me, they live on their own, they don't have that daily interaction with people. What would you encourage them to do, or what would you help them to do? Because I think part of the thing is, if you talk to somebody, they'll say, oh, well, I need to do this, this, and this, but do they do it? And so part of what I would say being a friend is that you help them do that. Okay? So to me, What I did was I immediately sat down and started to make a game plan. Yes, Jeannie's adding in here, chatting with friends, going someplace and doing a fun activity. Absolutely. Charlotte's saying acknowledge, feel, move with it, and get on, and seek the understanding. And by the way, what I would say to you is if you are capable, mentally capable of going, okay, I'm lonely, that's on me, it's a feeling, therefore this is what I need to do about it, and can do that in a good manner, then you are okay. But if you are feeling lonely and you know you should be making a plan, but all you do is stay stuck, how many of you know that feeling? You know what you should be doing, and then the guilt starts to come in because, yeah, I know that's what I should be doing, but I can't. Then you need help, either from a friend or a professional. And don't suffer. That's being a victim, right? Do baby steps. Get a friend to help you take the baby steps if necessary. So I do believe that social media is contributing to it. I've got to say that, because we are so big into a quick text now and not a full conversation. But that's an excuse. So I would recommend that we make sure this winter, for those of us living in the Northern Hemisphere, that we make time and plans to go face to face with people. All right, Alex says, I've got to go now, but thank you for allowing me to be part of this conversation. Our pleasure, Alex. Thank you so much for finding us. How did you find us, by the way? And pop in again. We're here 3 times a week discussing all sorts of things, including our emotions. So, all right, do you see that if you make plans to meet with, now not everybody is going to accept your invitation, all right? So if you say, okay, fine, let's meet up. I've decided I'm going to contact all of my close friends and say to them, in my mind, I'm going to meet up with them. I know what I first of all thought was, how often would I need to see them all in order to feel connected? And I thought, I don't want to be greedy. You know me. I don't want to be greedy. I think if I saw them all face to face once a season, I would be happy. Because I've got quite a few, close friends. Not quite a few, but enough. And I'm thinking if I saw them all twice, even once a season would be good. With the pandemic, I'm not even seeing that. So I'm thinking, yeah, at least once a season, and if not twice a season. And I'm thinking, okay, so now I know what I need. Now, how can I get that to happen? Well, the easiest way to get that to happen is to actually invite them. And going, gosh, I haven't seen you for a whole season, so when can you come and have dinner with me? Right? And to make them realize I haven't seen them for a whole season. There was at least one of my friends, and I had to actually say to her, you do realize I have not seen you since I moved back here in March. And it was already September. And she said, what? And I said, I haven't seen you since I moved back. So let's make a plan. So do you understand? If I now schedule, and I'm going to, for those of you who do spreadsheets and this, you will already know how to do this. But, I'm literally going to write a plan. And I'm actually going to have the seasons and put all my friends' names in it. And then as I see them face to face, okay, I've done that one this year. If I make sure that I see them once a season, the chances are, maybe I will see them more than that. But I'm going to take responsibility. I'm not going to blame them. That's a victim, all right? I'm going to go, what am I doing about it? And let's think about it. Obviously, I'm going to invite them to dinner because I love to do that. But the other thing is, what about what would you like to go and do with me? Right? You're more than welcome to come to dinner, but if there's something that you would like to do with me, let's talk about it. If you remember, maybe it's go to a movie and see something, or maybe go to a restaurant and do. I'm going to let them have the choice. So, do you understand that if I am proactive about it, that means I am not a victim to it? It means I can see there is a problem, and it is my responsibility to do something about it. That's the point that I want to make sure we all understand. And by the way, I go back to this thing about don't be embarrassed if you have a negative emotion. I don't feel, oh, I must be in big trouble because I am sad or because I am lonely. No, that's not the thing at all. All right. Jody, how long ago was it that I was freaking out because my blood glucose was way out of control? Oh, Halloween. What can I say? Why did I have to ask? It was Halloween candy. And I bought a couple of boxes to eat myself. And then I was, upset because my blood sugar went out of control. And, the funny thing is, I just said, what do you need to do? Finish the candy. I didn't say throw the candy away. I said, the best thing I can do is to finish the candy. And I did. And then, of course, I bought more. I found out Werther's does not spike my blood sugar. I don't know why. Kez is saying, when I start to feel lonely, I distract myself by reading. That is actually a good thing to do. To read is a good thing. It's like reading is like the theater of your mind, all right? You read the words, but you create your own movie in your interpretation of those words. Does that make sense, Kez? She also says watching TV, YouTube, and when that stops working, I draw out my feelings and pat my cat. How cute is that? Yeah, I find getting deeply involved and being creative. I don't feel lonely, right? I might feel a lot of other things, and you don't want to hear the language sometimes, but I know that being creative is really good for me, and especially as Jody knows. Hang on a second. You remember I was talking to you about making these particular Christmas. About making these particular Christmas cards. Well, it made me laugh being a creative person because it took me a long time to work out why I was having problems and then to learn how to fix it. And then once I'd fixed it, I mass produced a whole group of them, like about 10, in case it went wrong again. And then as I finished that, how many of you relate to this? I immediately said to myself, wonder if I could make that double, like about this big, and use it as window art for Christmas. I'm going, didn't you have enough trouble with this? You're now going to give yourself more problems? I loved it. Yeah, how many of you can understand that? I was on a mission to see if it was possible to do, and how does it look? Great. So happy I did two. I've got two big bay windows and I did two. But the point was, can you understand that while I was doing that, nothing else mattered? I didn't want to eat. I actually, was upset when I had to get up and go use the washroom. I was absorbed. My mind wasn't thinking about anything other than being creative and problem solving. Jody's saying, now that you mention it, I'd like in order a bunch of hugs, to cook a beautiful meal in that HGTV kitchen with you. I'm gabbing and laughing while cooking, and to walk on the beach with you. Yeah. And that's why I said to you, Jody, did you get to the beach? You and I have been talking about getting to the beach for years now. Think about that. You talk about it, but you don't do it. So there's part of me that says, are you kidding yourself that you want to go to the beach? And I know you've got lots of excuses, but think about that. Are you kidding yourself that you want to go to the beach? Because if you really wanted to go to the beach, yeah, you're working on it. You're still working on it, Jody. So do we agree the first step is to acknowledge what we're up to, that, whatever that emotion is? It is also true that I am someone who solves problems for other people. Do any of you understand that solving my own is a whole different ball of wax? What is that expression, doctor, heal thyself? That it's like, I know that these things happen to me and I know intellectually what I need to do about them, but does that make it any easier for me than it is for you? No, of course not. All right. So that's why I have friends. And that's why I am quite happy to talk about it publicly. I just want you to know I'm just a human being like the rest of you. The other thing is, do you agree that if we are in this sort of negative, be it sadness, loneliness, whatever, a negative emotion, then we need to change our behavior? Does that make any sense? Because if we keep on doing what we've been doing, what will happen? We'll get more of what we've been getting. And somewhere along the line, I have not been getting enough achievement or enough hugs or enough strokes or enough collaboration. I don't know why that collaboration with Benji was a big thing for me. And at one point I said to him, and when I listened to where I was at, I went, I don't feel people need me as much as they used to. Yeah. And Benji looked at me and said, the world needs you, Sal. It was just like, really? So do you also agree that if we're not part of the solution, then we are our own problem, right? We need to be accountable for our behavior. Yeah, Jeannie's saying sometimes trying to solve other people's problems makes you fail to face your own. And she said, I know persons who do just that. I find that I am quicker, with all due respect, Jeannie, I find I am quicker to acknowledge my responsibility for mine than I have ever been. Jody's going, I alone can keep you busy with all the stuff I need help fixing. Yeah, I know, Jody. But you understand, that's when I am at my most creative and my most useful is when I'm helping. But it is interesting, isn't it? I haven't had as many people write to me with their issues recently. I'm pretty sure I know why, but it's just like, okay, don't worry, I'm not going to stop broadcasting. So I look at it and go, face-to-face is what I need. Now, you might need something else, but I need some face-to-face. So does that mean I have to get in the car? Not necessarily. I could do Zoom face-to-face. Maybe that's a good place to start. And I was thinking about, I've got a friend of mine who I am about to send Christmas cards to. By the way, I'm very proud of myself. I am now at the right place to send I've sent the international ones. I've sent the ones to the US. This week is my week to send out the local ones where I'm not going to hand deliver them. The ones that need to go on the mail. Those Christmas cards are going in this week. I really, for the first time ever, have got this down to a really great system, and I'm going to repeat it next year because it really works. All right, to know by this week, this needs to be done, and then work towards it. And I made cards in that order as well. Like I made all the international cards first. And so these are all cards that are going in the mail. And I made a little, I probably told you this already, but I made a little extra insert that goes inside here. So when you open it up, it'll fall out. And it says, I made this insert so I didn't ruin your card. If you wish to, you can now keep this as a Christmas decoration. All right. And then Merry Christmas, Sal. So not that they, a lot of people will just throw it away because, we got people like that in our lives, but some will hold on to it for Christmas decoration. And I didn't want my signature to be on it for them. Jody's saying, indeed, she's saying that my unique perspective has saved her bacon on many occasions. Yeah, and that's when I don't feel, I feel of use to people. That's always nice to feel, isn't it? So we could, do you agree that it is, because it's our feeling, it's our job to, we need to be accountable for it. We need to acknowledge it, be accountable for it, and do something about it. So what are we going to do? I was thinking for some of you, you might want to join a new club. Maybe you say, okay, this winter, I am going to join a club. I've always wanted to know about photography, so let me go and learn. I don't ever have to do it, but let me go and learn about it. And yes, it'll be a bit uncomfortable because I don't know exactly where I'm going, or, I won't know the people and they might not like me and all those sort of things. But one thing you think about is it's going to get me off my butt, out of the house. It's going to make me put some decent clothes on. Mind you, if you're going to do pottery or something, don't wear the good clothes, from experience. But think about that. What can I do to meet other people who are doing the same thing because they're lonely? Now, for some of you, maybe it's, you want to go to church. I wondered, I said that to Benji, how many people do you think join churches because they're lonely and they want to meet people? Now, is that the right reason to join a church? I think maybe it is. And you can learn about the faith later. But, for a lot of people, that is also an option. Or maybe change churches. Maybe if you don't feel, if you're feeling a bit lonely in your own church, maybe another one would make the change for you that you need, right? If you keep repeating what you're doing, it might not be the answer. I would like to say, what is it you've always been too busy to do? You've always said, I'd really like to, but, you haven't had time. Make time. Make time. And I definitely, my big one this time is to, finish the plan. And the plan is I am going to plan to do something with every one of my friends every season. I reckon that'll keep me pretty darn busy. And if they don't invite me back, that's also okay. It's not about return. It's about what am I going to do? What they do is their stuff, right? Yeah, Jody's saying, I think it's a good reason to join or change churches. It's about fellowship. Exactly. Connectedness. So how many of you like the idea of actually mapping out a plan with the seasons and, putting all your friends here and going, okay, fine, and actually planning that you've made the call, like the first step would be to make the call, preferably a call, not a text. Why? Because you're looking for real communication now. And just say, hey, you know something? It's been a while. I'd like to see you. When can we do that? Right? Again, I'm going to say to you, if you're lonely and you can't get in a positive mindset to change it yourself, you may need help. And I want you to understand, asking for help is a sign of strength, not one of weakness. If you've been lonely for a while and you haven't been able to snap out of it, make sure you talk about it to your friends. And if your friends are telling you things and you are just yes, but, and staying lonely, you need some help. And one of the things, again, most churches have groups, that will help you. Maybe you join a group online, all right, uh, that talk about stuff. New group, one they haven't been part of. That's another possibility. I would also find this, that if you're serious about changing a feeling, once you say, okay, this is on me, so I need to do something, it gets to be quite invigorating. I found myself quite motivated when I thought, okay, what can I do? What am I going to do? My sense of humor. I'm going, right, this is what I'm going to do. And then I thought, I need a spreadsheet now. And just by thinking my way through it like that, you can probably feel that emotion, right? I'm going, oh yeah, that's going to be fun. And then I'm going, okay, Marnie, Marnie and I need to go and see another movie together or dinner, because Marnie and I do well. And Yvonne and I need to do this, and my friend that's coming from, just on this big trip. I need to get together with him and hear about the trip. I can just sit and listen. Or I could do it on a Zoom call. But even though I might not be that interested in the trip, it's just like it would help me be connected. All right, Jeannie's saying, one friend of mine is busy like me, but we try to get together once a month or every 5 weeks just to chat and catch up. Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I have been missing, Jeannie, and it's on me. I have been here for you guys every week, but I have not done the usual amount of connectedness with my friends. No wonder I'm feeling a bit alone. How about this one? If you are thinking nobody cares about me, then you are a victim. If you are thinking, whoops, that's loneliness, time for me to make some friends or not make new friends is another possibility, all right? But time for me to feel loved again. And how is the best place for me to do that? Is to get near people and see their eyes light up when, they're talking about something and I happen to come up with a solution for them. Or that they laugh at me because people do that, right? Very important. Yeah, Jeannie's saying, I repeatedly cook for others. I often make Indian sandwiches for staff at the vets. Yes, you were saying this last week, right? And the groomer. Yep. And you give gift certificates to people. You're very generous of those sort of things. And I'd like to say, Jeannie, and don't take this the wrong way, but I'd like to say that you feel good when you do that, right? You feel good. It's not just about the fact they're gonna you've given them something. Now, Jeannie, does it make sense that some people these days might be concerned about accepting food that they haven't cooked themselves? We've got some strange people out there. I know it's not for the people that know you well, but it's like, don't be surprised if some people. I'm thinking, now that I've got my new toy here, I'm thinking I'm going to start baking some cookies. And, I get lots of visitations from the delivery people, from my grocery deliveries and obviously Amazon and stuff like that. And I'm thinking I'm going to start baking some cookies for them. Why? And the ones that bother to put the box behind the door, that's what the instruction says. I'm going to leave cookies there for them. It goes, thank you. It'd be even better if I put there are cookies for you behind the door. That would make them do it, wouldn't it? That would be very helpful. So, Jeannie, cooking for other people is a wonderful thing to do. It's a gift that you have, but it's a gift that also will make them smile and feel good. Yeah. And so I found that part of, my every year when I do Christmas, I try to have a theme. All right. And this year's theme, I'm trying to give Christmas presents. I think you all know this. The gift that keeps on giving. All right. I'm trying to give gifts that will, for example, yes, it is a card, but I haven't written in it, so it can be a Christmas decoration for as long as you'd like it. In and wherever you want it. It's great on top of a computer desk. It's just like it's small enough but pretty enough, right? Um, yes, isn't that's so true? Jeannie's saying that Misty, that's her beautiful Wheaton Terrier. Um, Misty's internist had adopted York and herself as her parents since hers had died. Yes, that's the other thing. Let us remind everybody about that. Your family is not your blood family. Your family, have I still got that quote here somewhere? I might have dropped the quote. But I had that quote, right? Your family is the people you choose to have in your life. That's your real family. Because not all of us have the ideal family. I wanted to just give you a cooking or tip, a money saving tip, actually. How many of you like to eat steak? And the reason that I was thinking about that is because buying a couple of bits of steak, let's say you like sirloin, buying a couple of, and do the research, check it out at your local store or online. Buying a couple of pre-cut steaks is almost as much as buying a full roast and getting twice as many steaks. In other words, I obviously want to play with my new air fryer, and I want to fry steaks on it, grill steaks on it. You know that. It's part of what I want to do. So I need to buy steaks. Now, that's a pretty expensive thing to do. So I'm going, no, I'm not going to buy steaks. I'm going to buy a sirloin roast and then cut it myself. And the amazing thing was when I looked at the difference in price, let me see, to buy, I'll get there in a second, people. Bear with me. To buy 3 sirloin grilling steaks, nearly $45 here now. Can you believe that? Nearly $45 for 3 steaks. Now, to buy the whole roast was actually the same, round about the same. I didn't take a picture of it, but do you get my point? It's like think bigger and save money. He was just like, "Are you serious? 3 steaks are going to cost me $44, and they're not even prime rib, this thick. This is just like slithers of steak. So save some money this week. Buy another roast. And I loved your comment, Jeannie, when you were saying on Friday about why do I always cook chicken breast rather than the whole chicken? Basically because I like the taste of chicken breast. But I'm going, hey, just for the fun of it, I'm going to get a whole chicken so I can see how that rotisserie works. It's just like, okay. And then I will package up and think of 1,001 things to do with the dark meat of a chicken that I don't like as much. But that's okay. So, what have you learned today? What made you go, yeah, I agree? And does anybody have anything else that they want to share? And I want to make sure that we all agree that feelings good or bad, are just feelings. It's what's coming out of our mind. By the way, is it true that you can feel lonely when you're the busiest person with people all around you all of the time? Yep. Why? It's in your mind. It's not a factual thing, it is in our minds. And therefore, it is within our control if we choose to take control of our mind. So, Jody, help us understand. You were saying that you went to go and see something beautiful and that brought out sadness. Isn't that amazing how that happens? Because I was thinking how similar that was to feeling Benji's love, and then the upshot of it was I felt lonely. All right, Jody's saying this entire broadcast was a learning stroke reinforcement stroke awareness moment. Important reminders and lessons through our experiences. Yes. And I was thinking, we all have different reasons, Jody. I was thinking, somebody like Lauren in a wheelchair. I am pretty certain that she feels isolated by virtue of the fact that she's in her wheelchair and can't necessarily do all that we want to do. Yeah, Jody's saying about that moment of seeing something beautiful brought out the sadness. She said, I agree 100%, Sal. It caught me by surprise, the sadness. You can imagine that the loneliness caught me the same way. All right. I kept going. I can't believe that that's what I'm feeling. And of course, Benji being a man is trying to fix it in certain ways, but in a very loving way. And I kept saying to him, hey, honey, it's okay. Now that I know that's what's going on, I can do something about it. But I was so angry at myself. I'm going, how can you do this? You haven't seen him for 2 years and you're sitting here blubbering like an idiot. Can any of you relate to that? And then I went, stop feeling guilty, Sal. That's an absolute waste of time. And I get on with enjoying his input. And so then what I did was, I just brainstormed with him all sorts of things. I thought, well, I got him here. I might as well do that. Why waste the moment? And, it's so funny because Benji said, when you want to talk to me, will you stop saying to yourself, he's probably too busy? I do that a lot. Do you? And, there's something strange about, having people in my life that 20 years ago I helped and now they're helping me. There's something really strange about that. Wow. Jody's saying that she's sure that he appreciated the vulnerability. Well, he's known me a long time. I assure you that Benji knows whatever I'm feeling, he's going to know about it, good or bad. And there have been times when I've really told him what I thought. And I looked at him and went, you always told me you loved me because I told the truth about things. Well, hello, you probably didn't like that one, but excuse me. All right. Obviously, I am struggling a bit. I still have, I don't know if you can hear that wheeze. So I'm going to go and look after myself. Being human is okay. I'm certain that Charlotte will tell you, and anybody else that's been through depression and made it out the other side, the greatest thing is when you can see these things, and deal with them, not stuff them down and pretend they're not there. Yes, Jeannie's saying, and now we know he likes being the ultimate girl dad. Yeah. And it was strange because after the broadcast where I had accidentally, I don't know why, I thought they'd already done the reveal. my bad. And so when I mentioned that on Friday, and somebody told me they haven't they did the reveal today, right? I immediately wrote to Judy, of course, and I said to her, I I goofed, and I said, I'm certain you know how I feel, because I work so hard at keeping their confidences, and sure, I already knew, but it was just like, I can't believe that. And I said, the good news is not too many people know. I had to find some humor in that somewhere. Um, but I said, please forgive me. It, I guess because they had sent me pictures that you are now getting. See, that was my confusion. They sent me um, pictures before they posted them online. And so in my mind, I thought, okay, fine, now it's public, but it wasn't. So did I feel terrible? Yeah, that's not going to help anybody, is it? So I thought, what do I need to do? That's another thing about, take responsibility. I was accountable. I goofed. How kind of that viewer to let me know that I'd goofed. And then I literally, the next thing I did was just write to Judy and apologize and tell her, I'm so sorry, honey. And then get on with my life. Does that make sense? Did you think that she knows I would never do that intentionally? Yeah. I didn't do it for personal gain or, look how clever I am. I already know. Yeah, I saw the pictures, and never mind. My bad. I'm totally responsible. Oh, interesting. Kez is saying the broadcast made me realize not to feel embarrassed about letting my big feelings out in front of people. Needing to acknowledge feelings. Yeah, and don't stuff them down. It's okay to feel. It's perfectly okay to. You know something, Kez? I found that acknowledging my feelings was a major step of getting out of depression. Yeah, Kez is saying write them down or draw them, all right, so they don't become anger and depression. I've always said for myself that depression is anger turned inward. So whenever I feel in that vortex, you know what I'm talking about. If anybody that's been in depression knows what I'm talking about, you say, it starts dragging you down. When I start to feel that, I go, okay, what are you angry about that you're not admitting? What are you angry about? And I will literally take a walk and get angry. If necessary, go to the beach, because I got one closer to me than Jody has. Go to the beach and scream. I've done that before now. When somebody broke my heart, I remember going down to the beach and just screaming. Now, did some people look at me like I was mad? Yep. Did I care? No. I wanted that emotion out. I didn't want it in my body. Yes, Jeannie, you're so right. Jeannie's saying, Judy absolutely knows you. Yeah. And, it was just like, she knows I would never do that intentionally. Right? And by the way, luckily it was only a day early, or something, but it was just like, I can't take it back. No point feeling badly about it. I can't take it back. I can't redo it. Will they trust me less because of it? Maybe. That's on me. I broke a trust. I didn't mean to, but I did. Do you understand? I don't have to beat up on myself. It was just like things happen. All right? And Jody's saying, yes, Jenny, absolutely. Now about the Jody knowing me so well. And she said, and she loves her so. You can feel the depth of love and respect. Exactly. And it goes both ways. And you can imagine. I don't know about the rest of you, but when that viewer told me, did you notice that split second when I had to reframe what was going on in my mind? And when that viewer told me and I realized it to be true, in that split second, do you want to know what went through my head? because I just carried on broadcasting. So what I felt. I mean, I would never do that intentionally. So what I was feeling. So do you want to know what went on in my mind as that viewer told me that and I read it? And then how did I carry on broadcasting? Because I think in that is the essence of what we're talking about. And some of you already know. But you see, there is nothing I can do to take it back. It's done. So what can I do? All right? In that split second when I was told that, I assure you what I said in my head was not polite. It was about 4 letters long and not polite. I don't mind admitting that. But then the next thing, when I realized it to be true, I then said to myself, it's done. As soon as you finish the broadcast, sort it out, process it, and then write and apologize. Okay? Jody's saying it was a testament to your professionalism. The turnaround time was minute. You recovered your train of thought, knowing you deal with it afterwards. Yes. And the person that I needed to talk to was Judy. It was like the only person that I didn't need to talk to Benji. You can't put toothpaste back in a tube. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I was totally responsible. And the funny thing was, Judy said, did you do it on a video, a vlog? And I said, I did it on a live broadcast. End of story. And I said, luckily, not many people were in the room. By the time other people see it, it's all old knowledge anyway. But, it was, do you understand that that's how I processed it? I read it when you probably, I actually might even go back and see my body language as I was reading that going, what I did? No, but it's done. I can't do anything except apologize for it. And by the way, think about that. Do I need to do more than that? Do I need to grovel for the next 6 years? I probably will joke about it for the rest of my life, but it's like, think about that. Do I need to grovel about it? Do I need to, I just need to deal with the fact that I broke a confidence. Me. I pride myself in my ability to do that stuff. And I've done it for all of their children, for goodness sake. But in answer to the whole problem, the thing about it really is the best girl dad, and we did discuss that, right? And they are really good at producing girls. There's no doubt about it. Yes, it was a small mistake, all done. Yep, it was a big mistake because it broke a confidence. I don't like to, Jeannie. You've known me a long time. I don't do breaking confidence as well. Which is why when people say something here, that I think might be too personal for general consumption, I will always double check with them. Are you sure you want me to repeat this? Yes, Jody's saying that would be my stuff. If I wanted to grovel about it for years, that would be up to. By the way, would it make them feel any better if I groveled about it for years? Yeah, and what does Jody say? They wouldn't expect it or want that from you. No. No, they wouldn't want that. They wouldn't want me to make myself sick over it. It was just like, hey. And I assure you, it's not the worst thing I've ever done in my life. But was I angry at myself? Of course. Was I sad? Of course. Was I bitterly disappointed? Yes. And did I want to blame them at some level that they didn't say to me, these haven't gone public yet? Right? I went, nah, it's not. Jody's saying it changes nothing. It only adds emotional turmoil. You see, when you can see that, Jody, that means you are emotionally intelligent, right? You understand? That's the whole thing. People say to me, what's emotionally intelligent? Well, it's when you can see there's nothing I can do about it. It's done. The toothpaste is not going back in the tube. Unless I cut the end off, Jody, and stick it back in there. You see, remember that thing we did where we found that you can cut a toothpaste tube? And yeah, I think I could put the toothpaste back in the tube now. I've got experience. All right. And for you crafty people, do you know one of the things, gosh, you guys, you know me so well, but one of the things I did, yeah, I did find the hack, didn't I? I found that when I was learning how to cut these, I found out that my cutting machine blades, yeah, they're really expensive. They're about close to $30 a piece, right? And I don't know if I told you, but I bought some generic ones that you can use, and it has its own holder and everything, and they work pretty well. It took a bit of learning how to use it, but once I got that, yeah, I spent many hours learning how to use it, but once I did it did it beautifully. I went, that's worth the money. And then I found out that, it doesn't have the same adjustment that the other blade has. So I had to find a way of being able to tell the adjustments. So you know me, I color coded it. And then they come with 3 completely different blades. And I'm only using those blades for certain things. But, I thought it would really helpful if I had 2 different holders, one for the deeper blade. So, I went and bought the whole set again, if that makes sense. So I could have one holder that would go down this deep and another holder that would go that much deeper. Not literally like that. But I just went, that would make my life so much easier. And it was just like, I keep asking myself, what would make this easier for me? And I'm going, I need a second set. Well, you don't need, I'm going, I don't really care. I want another holder. The same thing as when I put the lights up on my deck this week after Benji had done the front. I put all the bits of lights that were sort of half working. I put them all up on my deck, but the timer for the lights was sitting out front with the stuff that Benji did that looked so pretty. And I went, I need another timer. Well, the reason I realized that is every night I have to go out there where it's cold and unplug the lights. And I'm going, no, that doesn't work for me. Time to order another timer. And I did. And it's here already. And hang on. It didn't work. So I've got another challenge. Wonder why. I'll find out. This is DearMamaSal saying, don't be lonely. Don't be sad. Or be lonely, because it's a warning to get more connected. Be sad because it tells you what you need to be happy. And understand that none of us knows whether we are still going to be here tomorrow. And so we might as well enjoy today. And we might as well, like Bob Doyle, take ourselves pretty lightly. And what I mean by that is learn to laugh at yourself. It is really important. You're probably wondering, what am I cooking up tonight on my machine? I'm going to be doing grilled prawns and spaghetti squash. I'm going to do grilled prawns on spaghetti squash. This is DearMamaSal saying, I love you dearly. Thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to talk about the fact that I am human and that we all learn from that. We'll see you later on in the week. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye for now.